Kenyans are likely to die in millions. Remember what Corona did to this country. The judge has stopped. No American, no foreigner who has been identified that he has Ebola is going to be allowed into this country. It is a serious issue where the government of Kenya has put their own interests against the interests of Kenyans. We have now brought you the case that has gone to court. We can't comment much about it because it is subject to litigation. Justice Nyaundi has stood tall to protect the over 50 million Kenyans who are born and those who are being born daily. Ebola, if is detected in Congo, let them put up their facility in Congo. Or let them go back to their country. They have a grave if they die of Ebola in America. They have their facilities which they have built by their taxes. Let them be taken and be treated in America. For Kenyans, the public mood is terrible. Why the government wants to see massive demonstrations? They are joking with the tolerance of Kenyans. Not anymore. Kenya must remain free from Ebola. Welcome to Court Helicopter Trending Issues. Kenyans are talking about the fact that Ebola is going to be treated in this country. People are mad. People have uncovered the communication between Secretary of State Marco Rubio and His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto. Everywhere. Yesterday, people were mad when it came out that the facility is going to be built, or the facility is already almost completed at Nanyuki. Nanyuki is part of the Kenyan country. So, 1.6 billion is alleged to have been already sent to facilitate the construction of the Ebola issue. This question went to court today. Katiba Institute filed a petition against the Attorney General, the Cabinet Secretary for Ministry of Health, and Kelly Kenya as an interested party. That is free of 2026. The judge has read the grounds, and the judge, Justice Nyaundi, PM Nyaundi judge, has provided the following orders. What has the judge said? Upon reading the notice of motion dated 26th May of 2026, 28th May 2026, along with the accompanying certificate of urgency and the affidavit in support sworn by Nora Bagathi on the same date, noting that the petitioner alleges imminent threat to life in the event that conservatory orders do not issue, being persuaded by the public interest favors granting interim orders, it is hereby ordered. The judge says she is persuaded that these orders are being granted because of the public interests. And the orders are persuasive because they are talking, the grounds are, for those who are not lawyers, the reasons they have taken to court is that there is an imminent threat to life. Kenyans are likely to die in millions. Remember what Corona did to this country. What did the judge order? 1, the application is certified as urgent. 2, a conservatory order is hereby issued restraining the respondent from establishing operationalizing, facilitating, approving, or permitting the establishment and or operation of any Ebola exposure, quarantine, isolation, or treatment facility in Kenya, pursuant to any arrangement with the United States of America or any foreign government or agency pending the inter-parties hearing of this application. Let me explain to those who are not lawyers. A conservatory order is issued. What is a conservatory order? It is when the court stops temporarily what government intends to do. Remember, Marco Rubio and William Ruto have already agreed construction has started. People, Americans are here. So they have been stopped. Wamewekwa breki. That is what kwa Kiswahili means. Gari ilikuwa inaenda, imewekewa mawe, ikawekwa breki. They cannot move even one day. Kama nyundo ilikuwa imefika nusu, haiwezi fika chini igonge. Pale ilipofika, wamesimamia hapo. So vikwazo vimewekwa. No more. Vikwazo vya aina gani? One, they cannot establish. Hawawezi jenga. They cannot, kama wamemaliza, probably wamemaliza pale Nanyuki, they cannot operationalize. So kama imejengwa imemalizika, they cannot operationalize. If they have finished, they cannot be facilitated. If they have not been approved, they cannot approve. If the agreement has been approved, they cannot be permitted to do what? To establish. Wamekatazwa. They can't. What have they been stopped? Ebola exposure. So anything to do with Ebola, they are not allowed. Two, they cannot put up a quarantine. Whether it's in Nanyuki, whether it is Nairobi, whether it is anywhere. They cannot create a building and call it an isolation ward. So, wanaweza sema, hii sio quarantine, in isolation ward. The judge has stopped. They cannot also establish a treatment facility in Kenya. That is order number 2. The judge has added order number 3. A conservatory order issue restraining the respondents. The respondents is the Attorney General and the Cabinet Minister for Health, whether by themselves, their agents, officers, or any persons acting under their authority, from admitting into or transferring to, receiving within, or facilitating the entry into Kenya of persons exposed or infected with Ebola, pursuant to the impugned arrangement with the government of the United States or any foreign entity pending the inter-parties hearing. The judge has stopped. No American, no foreigner who has been identified that he has Ebola is going to be allowed into this country. Whether by ship, by road, by air, or even Kwangamia, they can't come into this country. The judge has stopped entry. Third, the petitioner will effect fiscal service of the notice of motion and petition on the respondents within 24 hours. Katiba Watch has been given 24 hours to serve them. 5, and last, the respondent will file their responses to the notice of motion within 48 days of service. And leave is granted to the applicant to file a further affidavit within 1 day of service of the response mentioned on 2nd of June 2026 for further directions. We went back, my crew, Vivian and Tim, went back and looked at this. Has this ever happened in Kenya? Yes. In the High Court of Kenya at Nairobi, Constitutional and Human Rights Division, petition number 78 of 2020. As consolidated with the petition number 79 of 2020, petition 80 of 2020, and petition 81 of 2020. Who is the petitioner here? The Law Society of Kenya, plus 7 others. They sued the Cabinet Secretary for Health and for Transport and Public Works and several other people. What was the issue? The issue in this matter is during the corona entry into 2020. Remember, the coronavirus first was detected in China, and Kenya did not have any corona. So the question is, can people from China be allowed to enter Kenya? The government of Kenya entered into an agreement and they allowed Chinese aircrafts from China to land in Kenya. This was a serious threat to the life of Kenyans. Those ones who know corona, we lost so many people. No family can say they didn't lose a person. We lost several doctors. Several doctors who treated the coronavirus died. These are the same doctors, Kenyan doctors, who are going to be told it's your duty to treat Ebola victims. They will die. Very many families lost their dear ones out of corona. Business collapsed. Lockdowns were there. People could not be buried. People could not go to see their loved ones in hospital. People were buried like dogs without human dignity. This is what the Kenyan government has signed a secret deal to allow a repeat of the 2020, 2019, 2021, 2022. The cost of life. Every day you have got to buy a mask. It was terrible. When people remember that time, that is why the reaction. Kenyans are mad. Court helicopter is mad. Yesterday we exposed the agreements, and the comments are terrible. Kenyans didn't know those agreements were signed by the Prime Cabinet Minister. Today, the President has gone ahead and appointed a committee for the implementation of those deals, chaired by the Prime Cabinet Minister, one Musalia Mudavadi. Not aware that the court is going to strike, and the strike is lethal. This is why Kenyans created the judiciary. This is why Kenyans, their last defense is the High Court. We have always told you the High Court, the Constitutional Court of Kenya, has now outpaced the Constitutional Court of South Africa. The type of jurisprudence coming is fantastic. Let us hear what Justice Retired Macau did in 2020. In that case, I've said, the petitioners, that is the Law Society of Kenya, through an application dated 28 February 2020, were on 28 February 2020 granted ex parte orders after the court had the petitioners cancel ex parte alone, just when we talk about ex parte is when an advocate files a petition without the other party being heard, looking for interim conservatory orders. After being satisfied with the matter, that is the judge saying, that the first respondent conduct, that is the government of Kenya's conduct, posed a threat to constitutional right to life. And upon court finding that under ex parte conservatory orders are issued, the Kenyan population will continue to be exposed to deadly diseases, the disease of coronavirus, similar to the deadly disease of Ebola. The court noted, by declining to grant the orders, the respondents will continue to allow more flights into the country, putting Kenyan at a grave danger that may result in deaths of several Kenyans, as coronavirus has no known vaccine or treatment. The same argument is what has gone to the judge today. Ebola has no known vaccine. Ebola has no known treatment. Ebola is an infectious disease. If you check your Google, you will find that you start oozing from all organs, all follicles of a human being. From the mouth, from the ears, from the nostrils, from the eyes, from all over your body until you die. If you look at people who have died out of Ebola, Ebola has ravaged West Africa, not once, not twice, severally. Countries in West Africa have a story to tell. Congo, DRC Congo, they have a story to tell. Uganda, they have a story to tell. That is why the judge proceeded and did this. The court, upon considering the council submissions and grounds in support, found it proper and appropriate to grant temporary ex parte orders in terms as 1. Prayer 1, that the petition number 78 of 2020 and 79 of 2020 be and are hereby consolidated. Prayer 2, that the lead file shall be petition number 78 of 2020. 3, that is where now the orders that the judge today has issued, that pending the hearing and determination of this application, a conservatory order be and this is hereby issued, suspending the government of Kenya's decision to allow resumption of non-essential flights from China to Kenya. All flights, passenger flights, were barred from entering Kenya from China. 2, that pending hearing and determination of the application, a conservatory order be and is hereby issued in the form of a structural interdict compelling the first respondent to prepare and present to the court for scrutiny a contingency plan on prevention, surveillance, control, and response systems to coronavirus, that is COVID-19 outbreak in Kenya. A structural interdict. Let me explain this. A structural interdict is when the court orders a government to do something and provide a report, a continuous report to court. For example, in this matter, the court said, give us a report on what you are doing to contain people coming from China from infecting Kenyans. They were given 10 days to bring that report. So the structural interdict is a judicial review or constitutional tool where the government must continue to provide progress. For example, we have seen the school Utumishi where 16 girls died. Are schools going to be closed? This matter, you can't close schools because kids have got to go to school. Exams are coming. So there are very many schools that have not complied. What the court will do, it will give the Ministry of Education either 2 months to bring an audit report of the schools that have complied and not complied. After 2 reports, they will be given either another 1 month to make sure that they have completed. So this is what the judge said. Give us an structural audit, how you have structured to deal with coronavirus and the people from China. The judge went ahead and said that conservatory orders be and are hereby issued to prevent the respondents from letting into the country by air, sea, and land any person from China and or any other World Health Organization designated hotspot country that is adversely affected by coronavirus COVID outbreak, pending the hearing and determination of this application. So the judge stopped not only from China, any country that has COVID, all those countries were declared their flights cannot land here. So the judge has stopped Americans from landing. This is a question. What about the Ugandans? What about the Congolese? What about anybody from any other country who is coming? Remember, the Ministry of Health has put surveillance testing at all our entry points. Every airport in this country tests anybody flying in from Ebola virus. 2, every border post in Namanga, in Mombasa, in Lunga, in Isebania, in Busia, that is the order that the judge has issued, because it is devastating to have Ebola here. The judge went further to say that an order compelling be and is hereby issued to the government to forthwith trace, they must trace, account, re-examine, confine, and quarantine in a KDF facility. Remember, the judge ordered they trace, they quarantine in a Kenya Defense Forces facility and or a specially guarded medical facility. All the 239 passengers that they let into the country. 239 aboard a Chinese flight CZ 6043, which landed at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, JKIA, on the 26th February 2020 at 7:29 a.m. until they are duly certified to be free from coronavirus COVID-19, pending the hearing and determination of this matter. So the judge ordered all these people who were on board that flight to be traced by NIS, by the DCI, they be taken into a military facility or a special guarded facility until they are treated and they are tested and recovered. Those orders were complied because the judge understood how risky COVID was. So we are talking about Ebola. It is a serious issue where the government of Kenya has put their own interests against the interests of Kenyans. We have now brought it to you that what we disclosed yesterday, our explainer that was exclusive, now everybody knows it. We have now brought you the case that has gone to court. We can't comment much about it because it is subject to litigation. We have conclusively dealt with the case by Justice Retired. This is a son of this country, a hero who saved very many Kenyans. That is Justice J.A. Makau. He, on the 3rd day of August 2020, Justice Makau stood tall. Justice Makau could not be intimidated by the executive powers. Justice Nyaundi has also stood tall to protect the over 50 million Kenyans who are born and those who are being born daily. Wakili Danstan Omari will never be intimidated. We will bring the law as it is. That is our duty, and we shall not be scared. We'll bring it to you. What is our position? Ebola should not be brought to this country. Ebola, if it's detected in Congo, let them put up their facility in Congo. Or let them go back to their country. You cannot say you can't take your citizens back. Citizenship. American citizens have a right. Trump can never take that right away from them. If they are sick, they go back to their country. When I'm sick, I can't be denied access to my country because I'm suffering from leprosy. The law of citizenship. You get citizenship by birth. These are not Americans who got citizenship by green card. These are Americans by birth. They have a grave if they die of Ebola in America. They have their facilities which they have built by their taxes. Let them be taken and be treated in America. For Kenyans, the public mood is terrible. Why the government wants to see massive demonstrations? They are joking with the tolerance of Kenyans. Not anymore. Not anymore. Kenya must remain free from Ebola. Wakili Danstan Omari.